In this episode, we're going to talk about some forgotten headquarters, hideouts, and training facilities of 90s action figures. So, stick around. Hello, fellow dorks and dorkettes, and welcome to Nostalgia Syndrome. My name is Rob, and in this episode, we will be talking about forgotten 90s playsets. Now, I know it's not November anymore, but I missed my filming opportunities last weekend due to a couple reasons. One, I got a new shelf, and it took longer than I anticipated to get it put together, set up, organized, all that good stuff. I mean, projects always take longer than you anticipate. Second reason, it was Thanksgiving, so I spent a little bit of time relaxing with the family. The third reason, I got sick. It just happens to me. It's like my body knows it's time to relax, so get sick now so you don't miss any work. I know, I hate my body for that, and for other reasons, but anyway, we are going to be talking about forgotten 90s playsets. And you know what? Let's just jump right into it with number one. Usually when I begin these lists, I always like starting with a cheat entry. This is no exception, because this playset could also be a rad ride, because it is mobile, for all intents and purposes. But I went with a playset because this is based on a real-life location for the most part. Anyway, this location was within a TV studio with a live studio audience watching, and we watched every weekend on TV. And that is the American Gladiators. They had a toy line released by Mattel in 1991. Now, Mattel's American Gladiator line had a few different playsets and accessories. What we are looking at in this episode is the Atlas Sphere playset. Now, what the Atlas Sphere was were these large metal balls that either a contestant or an American Gladiator would be inside of, and they would use their own locomotion on the inside to push these balls, Atlas spheres, to a designated spot. So they would be fighting it out, bumping their Atlas spheres against each other, trying to knock them out of the way, and trying to obtain the points of resting it on its base. The toy line kind of features that exact same play feature. You would get two Atlas spheres and a little base that you would be battling out to put your sphere on. Now, they also came with these control rods. Now, I don't think they were anything special other than like a shuffleboard stick that you could push your ball and bump your friends out of the way to try to obtain the points from getting your sphere on the base. At the end of the day, it's not the most sophisticated of playsets, or playset at all if you really want to go that route. But like I said, it's a real-life location, so I chalk that up to being a playset. I mean, it's super cool that nowadays American Gladiators and the Gladiators themselves are starting to get their flowers, because back in the day, they were pretty much used and abused by the producers of the show and us as the viewers, because once they were gone, we didn't think twice about it. So, like I said, it's really great that nowadays they're starting to get the recognition that they deserve. And check out their YouTube channel, because it has a lot of behind-the-scenes information from the Gladiators themselves commentating some of their more memorable matches. Anyway, let's head over to number 2, which also happens to be another syndicated television real-life competition show. Kinda. Our second forgotten 90s playset, like I said, came from another syndicated television show that aired on Saturdays. And this is the WMAC Masters TV show. And the playset is the Stone Forest. WMAC Masters, the WMAC meaning World Martial Arts Council, was a scripted, choreographed martial arts show that featured different characters week to week and always featured a life lesson moral at the end of the story. What would you expect from the same creative minds that brought Power Rangers to America? Anyway, this TV show was pretty much inspired by Mortal Kombat. I mean, they had everything from finishing moves to tests of strength, and it had a healthy dose of special effects to kind of bridge the gap between real life and video game inspiration. Not to take anything away from the actors, because they were all accomplished real-life martial artists, and it was a great place to see some really cool martial arts and stunts week to week. Now, the show only lasted 2 seasons with 26 episodes, but Bandai gave us a toy line in 1996. Now, the Stone Forest playset is pretty much just that. A bunch of stones in columns, like a forest. It has a spinning, like, bridge platform in the middle of 2 columns, and some breakaway stones where a secret hiding spot for the Dragon Star. Now, not to take anything away from this little playset, which could be pretty cool to mix and match with some of your other action figures, but on the back of the package it states that its biggest playtime feature is that it connects to the Masters Arena. I mean, that doesn't really say a lot when its biggest selling point is that it attaches to another playset that they want you to buy. Now, to be honest, I don't know if this truly hooks up to the Arena playset, or you're just supposed to use this little Crossroads floor mat to connect. If that's the case, that's not really connecting at all, and you'd probably be better served using your imagination. But anyway, WMAC Masters, I had a blast watching this as a kid, and I remember seeing the toys kind of kicking around Caldor, but I don't remember ever seeing any of the play sets. So it's pretty cool to find out that this toy line actually had 3 play sets in total, and I'm sure in the future we'll take a look at some of the other ones. Our third forgotten playset comes from a very unlikely comic book character who got a TV show, and a movie series, and a live-action TV series. Who would have thunk that Swamp Thing would have been a media darling and got many different versions of entertainment? I would have never thought that. Even though I'm a big fan of the original movies, I don't remember really watching the cartoon. And the live-action series, I caught it here and there, and I kind of enjoyed that as well. Anyway, this toy line comes from Kenner in 1990, and it's wholly based on the cartoon series. This playset is the Swamp Trap. The Swamp Trap is a very simple playset, very small, but they knocked it out of the park with its design. I mean, this thing looks like it comes straight from a swamp. I mean, it has like a rotten tree poking out of the top, little flowers here and there, and a giant Venus flytrap type creature in the base of it. That's the trap. You throw people in that and it gobbles them up. But at the top of this playset, you have a like rubberized mesh opening, if you will, with a little elevator on the inside that you could have Swamp Thing rise up out of the ground or disappear back underground. That's pretty cool. I think that's a neat little action feature that really symbolizes the whole Swamp Thing power set. of disappearing into nature and leaping back out of nature and grabbing onto fools and throwing them in the Venus flytrap to be gobbled up. Pretty cool. I mean, like I said, this thing just has great ambiance and looks like it would fit in a swamp setting. And it would be perfect for any of your action figures. I mean, imagine this was in your G.I. Joe Playtime universe and the Dreadnoks were holding out, you know, in the swamp and had this thing. I mean, even a giant Venus flytrap would work when talking about the G.I. Joe cartoon. I mean, I just see so many possibilities with this playset, albeit very simple, but so imaginative and greatly designed.
We will return after these messages.
The Unmen are after revenge and they want Swamp Thing.
Weed Killer's poisoning Swamp Thing's home.
Who can save it?
Swamp Thing! Nobody poisons the swamp trap. I live here. It's feeding time for my Venus flytrap. Ah! It won't stop me.
Is this the end of Swamp Thing?
No! My mighty Bog Rover will put an end to you.
Playset figures and vehicles sold separately.
Fire! My swamp trap is safe.
Swamp Thing, guardian of the earth.
Our fourth forgotten playset is a playset so nice, Mattel had to use it twice. It is the Slime Pit. Yes, that Slime Pit. Hordak Slime Pit. But this version was released in 1992 for the King Arthur and the Knights of Justice toy line, which was based on a cartoon. The cartoon was about a modern-day football team that got transported back to medieval Camelot and assumed the roles of King Arthur and his Knights of the Round Table. I definitely remember watching the cartoon, but I was not familiar with the toy line, so this was very eye-opening, and I thought Kenner was the only one to recycle playsets. Anyway, now to be honest, there is little evidence to say that this toy line actually made it past the prototype stage. But I wanted to point it out because it's just a really neat little nugget of Mattel toy history. I mean, the cartoon itself actually went out of its way to show the Slime Pit with a large skull motif, although a little bit different with a large ram's head and a little bit more of a satanic flair, which I can appreciate. But they had every intention of putting this out because it appeared in many toy catalogs at the time, and they had a release year mapped out. Unfortunately, I think with the cancellation of the cartoon and the toy line afterwards, it just never made it to production. Which is kinda sad because you can never have too many Slime Pits out on the market. Our fifth and final forgotten playset comes from Toy Biz in 1991, and it is the X-Men's Danger Room Wolverine Combat Cave. Firstly, disappointing, it's not a cave at all, it's part of the Danger Room. So it's a pretty small square room, and what you have is a metal contraption on one end that they dub an octopus that has different weapons and baubles hanging off of it that Wolverine is supposed to slash and disarm. You also have at the front of the playset, or behind the playset, whatever, behind where Wolverine stands, a big picture of Magneto that he can practice slashing at. And on the other side, directly opposite of the octopus, you have a breakaway wall that allows Wolverine to slash through the bricks. So this is pretty much specialized for Wolverine's power set, but honestly, you could use it for any of your X-Men figures at the time. Now, when Toy Biz hit the market with their Marvel and X-Men toy lines, I was beside myself. It was the golden years of my comic book collecting, and X-Men was definitely at the top of my favorite comics of all time. And these toys were exactly what the Doctor ordered. I mean, I loved every single one of them, but I had no idea this playset existed. It would have been pretty fun to get, but I think the playability factor would probably get pretty boring quickly. Because, I mean, yes, you could have Wolverine and some of your other X-Men play with this little Danger Room set, but yeah, I think this would be pretty cool as like a diorama up on a shelf. And like I said, the playability probably got pretty stagnant quickly. But like I said, it would be an awesome display piece. Anyway, that was just a quick look at 5 forgotten 90s playsets. Thank you for sticking with me. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. If you got something to say, please leave a comment. I love reading them and I love getting back to everyone. And if you're new around here and you enjoyed this episode or any of the others that YouTube is recommending down here, please hit subscribe. And if you hit that little bell icon, you'll be notified whenever there's a new episode. So anyway, until next time, thanks for watching. Keep being rad and stay dorky.